20 degrees at 3 minutes after the hour. Good morning. This is Daybreak, and joining us is Sylacauga City Schools Superintendent Dr. Todd Freeman. And Dr. Freeman, good morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Jimmy Dale.
Kind of brisk, put a spring in your step, huh?
I'll tell you, if you're not moving fast, you're going to get stuck in a rut out there this morning.
First of all, of course, thanks always for being here. And during the winter season, we always have the possibility of inclement weather and affecting our schools. How's that going, especially in February?
Yeah, it's gone better this year, I'd say, than last year. Yeah. You know, we had several instances. I think we lost 6.5 days last year of school. We had a late start in January one morning, and then we had a late start earlier this week. I'm not sure, today's Wednesday, I'm not sure what tomorrow holds. If you look at the temperatures, it's very low teens. So
what goes into a decision about whether it's a delay of school or missing a day of school?
Yeah, it's a very good question. The thing you look at first is the precipitation, if you got some issues there that would cause problems on bridges or roadways. So that's important. The other thing is that you're looking at the temperatures because you got bus riders, and we have some bus riders that may travel an hour or more on the bus, and some may be standing outside waiting for buses. So you have to be sensitive to that particular part. So that's when you start looking at those low teen temperatures. And so that's a factor. And normally the governor does not declare state of emergency. It happened a couple of times last year. But if that's the case, then there's no issues with when you go to school. We don't look at getting half days in or what period of time in the day to qualify for a day. We just strictly look at the safety of the kids when we make the call.
I was mentioning to Dr. Freeman before we came on about going by Sylacauga High School every day, and when the remodeling started, I'm thinking, how are they going to do this? And the more and more you go along, you see the piece of the puzzle being put together, and it is coming together in great shape.
Yeah, it looks good. Our architect has done a fantastic job of giving that. It really has a feel similar to Nichols Lawson. It's got a very historic, classical look in terms of its architecture, and once that roof is finished up, it's going to be really beautiful. We'll get our landscape put in, and it's going to be a pretty sight. And it's also a great functioning building with new classrooms, new office space, and some additional conference areas, what will end up being a meeting room for our Board of Education upstairs, additional classrooms. So it's turning out to be a great project.
And the demolition on the west side has begun too.
We have taken down the 2-story classroom on the west side of the building, and we will now build up a single story that will have a weight room, dressing rooms, fitness area. We'll also renovate both of our gyms, and we'll renovate and expand our library. So that's a big project over the next year that'll be taking place.
A week from yesterday, the 24th, is a big day for the city of Sylacauga.
It is. I was thinking about that driving over this morning, that for our students that are in school now, I think about them in 20 or 25 years. This is really a vote that will impact their children, because we're talking about extending a tax through 2049.
And it's not a new tax.
That's correct. It's not new. We've been paying it since May of 2000 when it was voted in place. We've been paying it for a while. We just want to extend it to allow us to more be able to impact construction needs as they come up over those next 20, 30 years. So it's a big day for Sylacauga, certainly.
Well, the key thing is to get people out to vote, and that's an old adage that, hey, you got to get them to the polls.
So true, and many times in elections such as these, your voter turnout will be lower than it would be in a general election. There are many, I think there's a lot of support for the tax extension, but that doesn't translate in always to the affirmative vote. So you want to encourage, it's really important to vote, and I always tell folks that even if you disagree, the constitutional right we have to make decisions like this, I think, is very important. So I want everyone to go vote and express, because this is a decision that the city makes, and I think that's important.
Legion Stadium.
Yes, sir.
A landmark in our community for a lot of people, including me, down through the years, and that's on the agenda for some refurbishing. And this tax vote, special election, on the 24th kind of ties with that a little bit.
It does. What it allows us to do is if the vote is successful for the schools, then we're able to refinance debt, and we're also able to get some new money to finance it over a longer period of time. And that's the necessity of the vote in extending it. So we have a tax that's dedicated to the Legion Stadium renovation and other renovations that we would have. But certainly that's our priority right now. That stadium is almost 68 years old. It's beautiful, but we want to bring it up to date in a lot of different ways and have it ready and set for that next generation of students.
Refresh the viewers' minds a little bit on what could be happening at Legion Stadium with a successful vote next week.
Well, what we'll do is renovate our home side, which means we'll do a lot of work inside on bathrooms. We will put new bleacher systems in. We'll have a new front entrance that I think will be just gorgeous. We're going to move our concession stand outside to be beside the Calvin Field House, and we'll really open up that home side. On 6th Street, we'll have a new entrance. It can be a visitor entrance and entrance for our band and football teams that are coming on that side. And the visitor side, we'll have new dressing rooms, new bathrooms, new concession stand, a press box for our visiting staffs, and then on the north side of the stadium we'll put in a parking lot which would seat about 55, would have about 55 vehicles. And then on the field itself will be a performance turf that gives us a lot of different options, and it really helps us in weather time, when there's bad weather, issues like that, and the amount of time that you use the field. This turf is durable, and that's an important part of it as well. So, and I would also add, we're going to extend the press box, and for the media out there that attends our games, that is, you know how important that will be for us to accomplish as well.
Yeah, so I won't have to use the umbrellas or anything.
That's right, or walk sideways through there. Yeah.
Dr. Todd Freeman, Superintendent of the City Board of Education in Sylacauga, our guest this morning, and you know, a lot of exciting times coming up, and not too far down the line, you got graduation too.
We do, and we're going to graduate probably 165 or so students. Look to graduate all of them, and you know, it's always a big day. Our board will meet that evening prior to the graduation, and then we are able to participate as part of it. And I attended my first ceremony last year, and it's a beautiful ceremony. It's very well done. It's a respectful and honoring experience for our seniors, and I think that it's one of the more impactful graduations I've attended, so I'm looking forward to it.
Where is Sylacauga High School, Dr. Freeman, in testing on a state level?
Yeah, it's a good question. The test that we use now is part of the ACT suite. That's the best way I know how to put that. And grades 3 through 8 take what is called Aspire, and it is a predictor of what you'll do on ACT. Our 10th graders take what's called the Plan, and that also predicts your ACT score. All juniors take the ACT. They will in April do that. And then our seniors take something that's called Work Keys, which is a career preparation readiness tool to let you see how prepared you are for work-related skills. We are doing well in some areas. I've been pleased with some scores in reading, particularly in our elementary grades. In English, we're scoring well. We have really got to focus on math and science, and I would say that across the state that is a common theme in our system. And so we're looking at and planning ways to really put a different kind of emphasis on it, to create an environment where math and science is looked at by students using real world situations. So we're talking a lot about what's called STEM, or science, technology, engineering, and mathematics, and how we can make that more relevant for our students. You
talk about the remodeling and projections of what we'd like to do, but bottom line is it's all about the students and their future.
Well, Jimmy Dale, you can't say it any better than that. Any decision that we make, and the tax is one of those that's a vote by the people. I will tell you that Sylacauga supports its schools. The tax base here is excellent. We get 28.5 meals for school to function, and some of those provide for our general fund, some provide for our capital fund, and that's an excellent commitment of our city. So I'm confident that our city feels moving forward that this is the right thing to do, because the stadium's important, but it's not just about that. It will be about the continuing needs of all of our schools, and we want the best for our kids.
Well, technology is ever changing, and when you and I were in school, especially me, things were a whole lot different then than they are now, and you have to use different techniques.
So true. My wife and I were laughing the other day. I was telling her about the typing class I took, which would have been in 1986. And she didn't have type by then. They were on the keyboards and stuff. When she
Well,
was
just
taking,
so you
but
know, I didn't have a typewriter when I was in school.
Well, we had one electric typewriter, so every now and then we got to use that. Well, it's changed dramatically. And even, we have a hard time today when we think we're up to date, then we're behind again. But technology is what drives the workplace. And we want our schools to have that type of feel that technology is an integral part of the learning experience.
Where are we with the property, and what's on the table for the relocating of the City Board of Education?
Yes, sir. Good question. We are working with our architect. I am reasonably confident that we'll bid late March on that project. And we would start something, I believe, in April. It is our intention to be moved into the building this summer. We may not have all of our construction finished, but we'll be moved in the summer. And, inside the building is in really great shape, so it's really just a matter of getting some finishes redone and sprucing it up. The outside, we've got some work to do on the roof, parking lot areas. The facade itself has some work to do. We want to try to tie those two buildings together architecturally. So I'm looking forward to that, and I feel like by the summer we're in there working.
Dr. Todd Freeman, Superintendent of Sylacauga City Board of Education, the school system in Sylacauga, our guest for a couple of more moments. And we talked about, Dr. Freeman, the importance of educating our students now and for the future, and safety is always paramount for our children and staff.
Yeah, so true. And all you have to do is read a newspaper. It's almost weekly. It feels like that there are issues across the nation in different schools. We're very fortunate here. We've got a lot of support from our city. We have 2 school resource officers that work with our schools. Our principals, assistant principals, do a fantastic job with the discipline. Our teachers, which is really the foundation of good classroom management, they do a fantastic job as well. We have things we need to work on, and we're always wanting to work on, but we get great support from our city. We're involved in a support cohort with our State Department right now, and looking at every way we can to create the safest nurturing learning environment for our kids.
Finally this morning, Dr. Todd Freeman, our guest this morning on Daybreak and special election, February the 24th. The polls will open early and continue open all day in Sylacauga. And I know you want to take this opportunity just to remind people of why the vote.
Well, it's important. It is not a new tax. It's the extension of an existing 9.5 mil tax that was approved in May of 2000. So to approve it for an additional 25 years allows us to continue maintenance of our buildings, continue to make sure we keep the best facilities we can for our students. And I would say that February 24th is really important. When you go vote, make sure you take your photo ID, and all voters in this election will vote at the Rec Center.
J. Craig Smith Community Center, a week from today. And Dr. Freeman, always a pleasure having you on, and continued success. And Sylacauga City Schools in great shape, not only with the remodeling, but with education, which is paramount. And we thank you for coming by and sharing this morning.
Thank you, Jimmy Dale.
More on Daybreak coming up on the other side of this time out.